Let's take a look at another deck that I got from Barnes & Noble. This is the Bicycle Garden Gnome deck. So just looking at it kind of straight up as it comes, first and foremost, I did pay $6.99 for that, $6.99. There's a shot of the back. We haven't taken the cellophane off of this or anything, obviously, but we got some garden gnomes riding bicycles. How absolutely adorable is that? Air cushion finish made in the USA. There's a shot of the front again, United States Playing Card Company on the side. Nothing really fancy at the bottom. It just says gnome face up here at the top, which I thought was kind of funny. So let's go ahead and take the cellophane off of this and crack these open and see what we got going. All right, so there's a better shot of the box here without all of the cellophane on it. Perfect. And as I normally like to do, I like to take a knife and just kind of go in here, cut that seal very, very carefully just so I don't damage the box. And then we're gonna open the box like so. So nothing on the flaps inside, nothing special like that. We'll go ahead and pull the cards out of the box. Looks like we're missing a card there. Set the box to the side. And we should have our two jokers here, and then we should have our two ad cards and everything on the back. So we'll take a look at these first, because right off the bat, I really like the look of these jokers. Really, really nice, really kind of cartoony. I love it. No kind of reveal or anything on there, but you do have a pink one and a purple one. And then here's a shot of the back of the cards. They look really, really nice. I like the nice, soft, almost like pastel color scheme that they got going on here, as you would kind of expect with something like this deck. Over here we have our ad cards, which, by the way, I do keep all of the ad cards for my decks. In case you were curious, this one's a green on one side and a purple on the back. Why do I keep ad cards? I don't know, I've just done it since I've started collecting it. So I literally have a deck of ad cards that is just massive. I might show that in another video. And then, as pretty much the standard with a lot of these decks nowadays, you get a double-sided card so you can perform tricks with this deck. I also keep all of my double-sided cards in a separate, or all my gimmick cards really, in a separate deck as well. I'll show that in another video as well. But we'll go ahead and set these to the side here. We'll put the jokers to the side, and then we'll go ahead and take a look at the deck as a whole. So here it is spread out on my table there. Spreads very, very nicely. We'll go ahead and flip it over to the back here and see what the back spread looks like. Oh yeah. Really nice colors going on there. I like the white border around the side as opposed to a full green kind of color on the back. Really, really like that. Looks nice and classy. And as always, it will look really good in an in-hand spread where you might see some of the colors peeking out there, but just looks really, really nice. So let's go ahead and take a look at the cards individually here. So obviously we like to look at the Ace of Spades. It's kind of a prominent thing for a lot of these decks here. Really like this Ace of Spades. Nice and subtle there with a little garden gnome, a little shovel, all that kind of stuff. United States Playing Card Company down there. Bicycle branding at the top, made in the USA. Awesome stuff. We'll go ahead and see if we have all of the cards. That's something that you do want to check, because if you do not have all of them or you find a defect in your deck, you can send the Ace of Spades back to the United States Playing Card Company and they will replace your deck free of charge. So it looks like we have all of the spades. Looks like we have all of the diamonds, all of the clubs, and all the hearts. And by the way, I have not experienced a defect with a deck unless I've bought one on purpose. We'll talk about that in another video. But otherwise, when I've just bought a standard deck of playing cards, they've all been top notch, which is why I will vouch for Bicycle all the time. So we'll go ahead and start with the hearts here. We'll start a little bit differently. So we'll look at the court cards, because I think that those are really where you're gonna find a lot of the prominent artwork here. So there's our King of Hearts. Looks really nice, a little hoe up there in the corner. We have our Queen, speaking of hoes, with I'm just kidding, the Queen of Hearts is not a hoe. With some flowers here on the side there. Really like the artwork on there. Again, really nice and subtle, almost giving like Easter vibes. So this would be something that you could bust out at your next Easter gathering and keep things kind of, you know, theme-wise. We have our Jack of Hearts there with his little mustache going on. All of our number cards here are a nice kind of cartoony look with their pips, like that. And then we go to the ace, because the ace is usually gonna have a little bit different design there. In this case, the Ace of Hearts has a nice little calming flower on there. So going to the clubs now with these court cards, kind of the same deal here. We have our King of Clubs with a little garden rake in his hand. We have our Queen of Hearts holding some more flowers here, or our Queen of Clubs, excuse me, not Queen of Hearts. We already went to the Queen of Hearts. And then our Jack of Clubs looking like a dapper chap as well. Same thing with our number cards here. It looks like we're going to have some nice, easy on the eyes purple pips. So it might look black in the camera, but they are like a really dark purple. And then going on to the Ace of Clubs, we have our flower in the middle. So I'm assuming that's probably going to be our theme. Moving on to diamonds, well, I don't have to assume because it is right here. So there's our Ace of Diamonds looking really nice in that pink. And then going on to our number cards, which again, kind of have that nice calming pink color there. Going on to our Jack of Diamonds, holding some flowers. Seems to be a really popular theme with the Garden Gnome, but as you would expect, it's garden, right? There's our Queen of Diamonds, looking beautiful as always. And then we have our King of Diamonds with a shovel. So they all have their different gardening tools there. We could see what the ace, or the spades, excuse me, the spades have in store here as we get to our spades. So we looked at the Ace of Spades already. Again, looks like what's supposed to be black with the clubs and the spades. They are a nice purple color. So we'll go ahead and go on to the Jack here. Looking really nice. Then we have our Queen of Spades. And then what tool does the King of Spades have? Leave me a comment and tell me which one he has. We'll look together here. Looks like he's got a little, was that a trowel? I think that's what that is, the little mini garden shovel. I'm not a gardener, so I wouldn't really know. But then going on to kind of how they perform as far as shuffling and all that kind of stuff. So I always like to do a couple of table shuffles, mix up the deck here. As you would expect, they do perform very, very well. Straight out of the box, they feel really, really nice. Doing some cuts, they're nice and slick. Obviously, again, the spreads are very smooth. All of that, as you can see, they are mixed up properly like that. Shuffling like this, they seem to perform pretty well. And yeah, so there we go. So just some final thoughts on the Bicycle Garden Gnome deck. Again, I really like that it has the white border here, because whenever you start to use these decks, they're not going to get scuffed up around the corners there. You're not going to start to see like the color change as if this was like a full black or a full green in this case. You wouldn't see where the white would start to come through as these decks were used. So I really like that. Again, they just perform as you would expect a bicycle deck to perform. I really like the nice calming colors, the almost kind of cartoony look to the pips and to the numbers and letters on the front there. And overall, they're just very pleasing to the eye, and they would fit any card collection as you would expect here. So again, the Bicycle Garden Gnome deck, totally worth the money just because it's a great addition to your collection there. Again, I found these at my local Barnes & Noble. You could probably find these online, but if you're out and about and you happen to see one of those near you, make sure you stop in there and check out their card selection. They usually have a pretty good bit, including the Bicycle Garden Gnome. So with that being said, thank you guys for checking this out. Hope to see this deck in your collection soon if that's what you'd like to share. And if you have one of these, tell me what you think about it, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.